All right, everybody, ding, ding, ding. We are back in the ring. This is Ringside Presents Corner Confessions. And as always, I am Troy Vaughn, also known as Trey Amazing, favorite part-time stripper, part-time megachurch pastor, but full-time dating commentator. And this is Ringside's Corner Confessions, as always. And we are joined by someone very special, someone who came across my radar, someone who piqued my interest, and I just had to reach out to her and see if she would do us the honor of joining us for an interview, talking to certified sex coach LeKeisha Jones, aka Kitty Pride. How are you?
I'm good. I'm just shocked that you're a part-time stripper.
Yeah, you can. Hey, it's all about duality. You can strip and, spread the word of the Lord.
And you spread God's word too.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a 5-time ministry school dropout, believe it or not.
Hey.
And I was going into ministry to actually create a whole ministry where I only focus on sexuality.
There is, there is intertwining going on with ministry and sexuality. So, hey, and plus this is Atlanta. In every corner there's either a strip club or a church. So
exactly.
Why not build a bridge between the two? And
the strip clubs are probably giving back more to the community than the churches. But I digress.
I know, right? Look, that's another video for another day. Yeah. But I definitely, I'm feeling that. Mm-hmm. So you are a certified sex coach, and many of the topics that you talk about, I know I recently joined your presentation talking about Kama Sutra. Yeah. What other areas or what other topics do you delve in, as a certified sex coach?
Well, I take more of a philosophical, psychological, and at times theological perspective on sexuality. So whatever topic I talk about is going to be based on principles, as well as science. Mm-hmm. And when appropriate, some tips on what you can do to achieve, like, for example, orgasms, or how you can achieve certain positions, but not just show the position, but just an example. I tell women all the time, if you want to improve your gag reflex, or anybody who loves to perform fellatio, I tend to recommend that you strengthen your traps. For example, go to the gym and do some butterflies and do some lat pulls. And 9 times out of 10, after a while, it'll improve. Because now you have a stronger back to support your throat.
Stronger back to support the throat?
Yeah, the traps go all the way up to the back of your neck, right in here.
Okay.
So, you want to strengthen your traps. You want to do shoulder presses and things like that, which I need to do now because I got new friends. So I have weak trap muscles right now. But that's just an example. So whatever the topic is, I come from that perspective.
Okay.
So I'm going to be more principle based.
All right, for all the ladies out there watching, all the subscribers, all the future trap queens, pay attention, take notes, because this can help. This is directly applicable to your sex life, so make sure you pay attention and stay tuned. Mm-hmm. So we're talking about orgasms. Yeah. We're talking about how to achieve orgasms and, if possible, achieve multiple orgasms. So when you talk about, I know off camera we talked about multiple orgasms, and that's going to catch the attention and get on the antennas of a lot of people. Before we can talk about multiple orgasms, what would you say to the people out there who may complain about their sex life and that they're not experiencing orgasms with their partner? Based on your expertise and what you've encountered, what are some of the reasons why some men and women may not be experiencing orgasms?
It's simple, but it's complex. Mm-hmm. I tell people that you have to be responsible for your pleasure. I've been saying that for years. I think that's becoming more of a thing, but you have to be responsible for your own pleasure. If you are totally dependent on your partner pleasing you, then, you know, that, if you put all of your focus on your partner pleasing you, you're going to basically get asked out one way or another, because they're not going to be able to please you all the time. They're still human. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is, I think more men and women need to humble themselves. Just because no one has complained does not mean that you've never been trash. And, you know, there's been statistics out for a while that says most people who visit an establishment, if they've had bad service, they don't tell management. Out of 10 people, 9 is not going to tell management. They're going to tell their friends, right? I would say it applies to your love life as well. I've had, especially lately, I've had several men, especially since my last class, where they are bragging about how they really know how to put it on a woman or whatever. They have the right size, they have the right shape, including a couple guys that I used to date and link up with, and I had to inform them of, you know, that, no.
Their bad performance.
And sometimes it's not always bad. Sometimes they're just not, they don't know how to make the connection. Which leads to the third thing. I think that people lack trying to have a connection. I had somebody ask me in a Q&A once, actually a few weeks ago, they was asking how do they get their partner to stop getting their emotions involved. And I told them, I don't know, fuck a dead body. Because without emotions, you're dead. It's called necrophilia.
Ew.
And it's a real thing anyway. Maybe you should look for a partner that knows how to manage their emotions, perhaps, you know, and maybe you should be more validating of your partner's emotions, even if they're just friends with benefits. There's several different things. I can go on and on and on. Those are probably the top 3 things, but for you to have a more pleasurable climax, you know, it's a lot more complicated than just technique, which is how the body is set up and how humanity's set up, you know.
Which, you know, I find that very interesting because as a man, I think a lot of what we've been taught growing up, you know, from our big brothers, our elders, guys in the barbershop, and of course porn, you know, we believe that it's technique that does it. We believe that, hey, if we beat it up, then she's gonna, you know, get the desired effect. Recently, I think this happened the last couple of months, 2 or 3 months. I'm not sure if you follow the Breakfast Club. Yeah, you already know where I'm going. I mean, I gotta be honest, you know, 1/3 of the Breakfast Club, DJ Envy, he had his wife on the show, and his wife admitted during the broadcast that for the first 10 years of their marriage, she didn't experience an orgasm. And first and foremost, I thought that was the wrong setting to bring that up in. I mean, it made him look really bad. Well,
he doesn't feel like he looks bad based on how he's talked about it. I think it was I'm actually glad they brought it up because I'm gonna be honest, and this is just my personal opinion, I think a lot of women don't talk about not being satisfied because a lot of men in a heteronormative perspective don't listen. They don't listen, or they're like, no, there's something wrong with you. I remember a few years ago I had a gentleman, it was before COVID, I had a gentleman a few years ago he wanted me to talk to his girlfriend simply because of the fact that she was not having orgasms. And he thought it was something wrong with her. And I was like, sir, can I ask you a question? He's like, yes. I'm like, do you know what she likes? And the first question, he answered that with a question. He said, what do you mean? I'm like, that's why she's not having orgasms, sweetheart. you know, and he was like, well, I mean, I've made every other woman have an orgasm. I'm like, but what makes her different? Is she different from the other women you've been with? He was like, yes. I'm like, let me tell you something. If you go from a Honda to a Lamborghini, are you going to use the same gasoline? Are you going to have the same insurance? Are you going to have the same tires? Are you even going to turn it on the same? No. So you can't use the same technique that you've used with every other woman you've been with on the woman that you choose to be with. You have to be more present to her needs and desires, just like you want her to be present to your needs and desires. And I'm sorry, but a lot of fellas are selfish in that area. And,
Right.
you know, I think women are selfish because they're not getting what they want. And men are selfish because they're entitled. They feel entitled to get what they want. And
So you think a lot of men are just more so doing kind of general sex act. They think their one sex act they have in their repertoire is going to work with every single
oh yeah,
woman, even though every woman is different.
y'all don't know who my ex is. My ex was like that. Every guy I've been with, just about, except my current friend, all like that. And you know, I think every woman has experienced faking an orgasm, faking like that they enjoy it. I mean, sometimes I fake it now, but it's not because I don't enjoy it. Sometimes I'm just tired. It's been a long day.
Let's wrap this shit up.
But I would be tired, but I'd want to do it. And I think that's the difference. I'm actually turned on by this person. But there's been situations where, like, after the first couple of strokes, I'm done. I'm like, all right, can we stop? I need a break. And I don't need a break. I just say that as an excuse. So,
Okay.
yeah.
I really quickly, because this has come up, and this is actually a two-part question, because I've seen women in my group, I've seen comments, I've seen this come up. Is there a difference between having an orgasm and coming? Because I've heard two different explanations. I've heard one camp say coming is not necessarily having an orgasm, and other people say no, it is the same.
Well, cum is like a slang term for fluids for women. And so a woman can be wet and still not have an orgasm. That's another thing that tends to get misconstrued with people. So just because she's wet doesn't mean she wanted it. Matter of fact, there's just certain times of the month we're naturally going to be in heat because there's still that animal side that we have. There's still the instinctual side. And during our cycle, we're still going to be in heat, so we're going to be wetter. That's why we sell panty liners and things of that nature. So coming, it depends. It's like, my understanding has always been coming is talking about, it's more so more fluids is coming out. But an orgasm is a bit more complex. An orgasm is not just full body. In fact, in my opinion, an orgasm is cosmic, in a sense. You know, it's a complete surrender. And then when you have multiples, it's not just like you're just back to back coming. It's like, it's almost, you know, every culture that has a word for orgasm outside the United States call it a little death.
You know, it's funny you say that, because I know, like, reading Shakespeare, when they say to die, it means to experience an orgasm.
It's an orgasm.
And I'm like, is an orgasm, is that supposed to represent being close to death, or what is the connection with death?
Well, the last physical sensation a man has before he exits his body is an orgasm. He ejaculates.
Ooh, nice.
So, and I believe it's the same for women, but don't quote me on that. Just look it up.
You know, that's a great way of walking to the light.
Yeah, I mean, what you think Kevin Samuels probably went through?
Hey, look, when people talk, I'm like, hey, he went out, you went out so much better than what a lot of people are going to go through. I mean, you went out on top of some.
Of course, because when you decide that women over 35 is like, useless and what did he say?
I don't agree with him, but
I know,
yeah.
but that was his karma because she was 32 and us older women would have known to give him an aspirin and that would have saved his life because we know a 57-year-old man having chest pains, because that's about the age of a lot of our fathers. Our doctors back in the day would have told us, give them an aspirin if they have a headache or if they have chest pains, because it thins the blood and it keeps from having an orgasm. But when you're under 35, even if you are a nurse, you may not know that. So of course, he met his karma. It's okay.
So another, I guess, part two.
But back to what we were talking
Huh?
I said back to what we were talking about.
Oh, no, it's all related. It's all related. Because we're talking about orgasms, I'm thinking about some of the reoccurring debatable questions that I've seen in my group that have been asked by people. And as it relates to orgasms, I think one of the most controversial debates has been if a woman squirts, is that vaginal fluid or is that urine? And I have seen some heavy testimonials and debates on both sides. I've heard women say, fellas, that's urine. I've heard other women say, no, it's not urine, it's vaginal fluid, it's not urine. I'm like, okay, y'all, which is it? Okay,
it's neither. First of all, medical science does not know what it is. Secondly, when you squirt, it's not coming out of your vagina. It's coming out of your urethra. And so if you go about a little bit less than an inch inside the vagina on the roof, it is theorized that women have a particular organ right there, even though many people disagree with it in the medical field, but it's supposed to be similar to our own little mini prostate. It's also known as a G-spot. So a lot of things have not been proven, but the one thing I do know is that a real squirt comes out of your urethra, which is why a lot of people think it's pee, and nobody knows what it is. So, so I don't gravitate to one end or the other. I just go off of the facts I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I've seen that come up often, and you definitely have a huge camp of people that believe, no, that's woman urinating, that's actual urine.
It doesn't matter. The thing that I tell people is that if you want to squirt, you want to practice it. You want to strengthen it like it's a muscle first. So fellas, when you're trying to make her squirt, you don't want to force it. It's going to irritate her. In fact, I talked about it in the Kama Sutra class for the last couple of weeks. Even the Kama Sutra, a 5,000 to 7,000 year old book, even suggests that you don't force anything on the woman. You want to start off light. You want to start off making her feel comfortable. You want to exercise at first. You want to make sure your nails is cut and clean.
Nasty. Put what's under your nails inside the woman.
Or use a G-spot massager. And take your time and explore. Too many people are so focused on the climax and not trying to enjoy the experience. People are surprised when, I'm 41 and people are surprised that I'm still having multiple orgasms, and after round 3, I'm ready for round 4. I'm like, well, I enjoy the process. I found a partner that also enjoys the experience with me as well, and then even outside of the bedroom, I just enjoy life, so, we could focus on the techniques, but you focusing on the techniques, and there's a whole body that you can experience, if you just explore.
So, for the people who will be viewing this video, the subscribers, non-subscribers, if they are watching this and they are either later on that day, later on that night, they're gonna meet up with their partner and have sex, but they also have concerns and questions about, how to experience orgasm. What would what are some 3, 4, or 5, whatever, quick steps that you would suggest as far as, these are some things you need to communicate to your partner, these are some things you can do to help you achieve an orgasm? Because again, they write a lot of articles about women not experiencing orgasms and whatnot. And it's like, okay, what needs to happen? What are some first steps that both men and women can do, prior to sexual encounter to ensure an orgasm?
Okay. Well, first step is stop putting so much focus on your partner and start focusing on yourself first. A lot of women do not orgasm, in my professional and personal opinion, because a lot of women, especially in our society and most societies around the world, are not allowed to explore their identity and to express it however it is, however it's going to be. I've had so many women, for example, talk about how they need to learn how to soften up because they're too aggressive for men and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, sweetheart, you're not aggressive, you're assertive, and maybe you don't need to soften up. Maybe you need to stop dating wimps. Maybe you need, perfect example, I'm telling all my business, but I remember in my 20s, I remember all types of guys were telling me how I was too much for them and I was too aggressive and I need to learn how to be soft and blah, 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 woo, woo. And then there was another group of men who were like, LeKeisha, Kitty, can I take you out for dinner? Why don't you come over tonight? I want to see you. And I noticed the difference between both sets of men. The men over here who said I was not soft enough for them were not enough for me. A lot of them were broke-ass artists, wannabe rappers, poets, blah, 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 whoa, whoa, whoa. Not really sure where they were going with their life. And then these men over here, not only did they know where they were going in their life, they were there. So I attracted a lot of executives, career men, men who had a plan. And they liked me because I knew where I was going with my life. I took the hint. I need to focus on the men over here, right? I've been doing that ever since. That's all the type of men I meet. And the men who say that I'm too much, I don't hear that. There's nothing to talk about. If I'm too much, okay, fine. I hope you find what you're looking for. You know what I mean? But it took me understanding myself, building a self-love for myself, a healthy self-love, an authentic self-love, knowing myself, understanding my boundaries, and not compromising my boundaries, not just standards, boundaries. It felt good the first time I told a man no and not try to compromise. Because I put myself first for the first time. So that's number one. Put yourself first. Love yourself first. Get in tune with yourself first. How are you gonna have an orgasm and you can't even embrace yourself? You ain't gonna get to the heights that you potentially can, no matter how good he or she might be. So that's number one. That's for men and women. I would even package that all in self-mastery. Master yourself. A lot of the ancients talk about that. A lot of the Eastern stuff talk about it. And take care of yourself. Okay, just because you eat pineapples does not necessarily mean anything. I mean, okay, your pussy might be sweet that night, but bitch, if you constipated, what difference does it make? Because a lot of y'all, the reason why I had to deal with it, a lot of times the reason why things are the way they are, whether it's pH balance and smell and things, and this is not to shame anyone, because oftentimes people use this opportunity to shame, so I'm not saying this to shame anyone. I want to make that clear, and we need to stop shaming people for things like this. If you're not going to talk to them or help them, then you might want to shut the fuck up. Maybe just leave. But, eating the right diet, getting enough fiber in your diet, taking care of your temple. Sorry, I'm long-winded. I'm a counselor. I'm
Mhm.
working towards my license right now to do sex therapy. So take care of your mental health. Go to a counselor. See a life coach.
Mhm.
Um, are you going to your doctor regularly, ladies and gentlemen? Do you go at least once a year? Ladies, how often are you getting your pap smears? Um, you know, it it's what's your spiritual life like? Like, look at every area of your life and get that in order first. Let's start there before we start talking about having an orgasm. Because part of having an orgasm, let me talk about the anatomy with that.
Go for it.
So your orgasms start in your brain, okay? And it's a very complex process in the brain because there's so many things that's working all together. But where I usually come from, pause, but where I usually start at,
I see what you did there.
I call it the bedroom of the mind. It's called your limbic system, and that's where your fight or flight processes are at. It's where trauma is developed. It's part of the reason, based off of your childhood memories and any bad or good memories you have, why you have the narrative you have today, because of those past experiences. I call it the bedroom of your mind because that's where your orgasmic processes start.
Mhm.
So if you're always stressed, you're not going to have an orgasm. If he's always stressing you out, even if it started out to where you're always having orgasms with him or her, eventually it's going to get old because in essence, how they're treating you, all that betrayal is ultimately just creating more trauma in your head, right? So you want to start there. That's why mental health is very important. But orgasms also, the way it translates into the body, there's more people walking in. The way orgasms translates into the body is you have a nerve called the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is like the Vegas strip, strip in Las Vegas. I compare the vagus nerve to Peachtree Street. Like if you start all the way in Gainesville on Dawsonville Highway in front of Home Depot, I know about this because I actually took the trip, and you drive all the way down from there, eventually you're going to end up at Magic City by the Greyhound bus. That's the vagus nerve. And so all information from your brain travels all throughout your body that way. So if you have a lot in your mind, if you're stressed out, if you have a bad diet, if your hormones are off, this is for men and women, whatever it is, it's going to travel all throughout your body one way or another.
Okay.
So the orgasms, if you think it just starts in the pants, you're starting in the wrong place to begin with.
Okay.
So take care of yourself first, and then come to my class next month.
All right. Well, I ain't mad at that.
Shameless plug.
Well, no, actually,
It's more, but I can get in.
Well, actually, at this point in the interview, I do want you to, for the people out there who will be watching and want to get in contact with you because they may need some help or more guidance on, not only orgasm but just, overall sex life in general. How can they get in contact with you?
I'm on all my social media is erotic_ology, eroticology. That's what I created. That's my baby I've created. Eventually it'll turn into my practice. So you could start there. And I guess I can give my number. Wait, I forgot what it is. Hold on.
It's up to you.
Shit. I have like 20 numbers. Is like whatever. And I give it out all the time, but my memory sucks. Oh yeah, there it is. 404-369-1769. Yes, I purposely got a number that ended in 69.
Easy to remember.
It's easy to remember. Well, at least today it wasn't that easy.
Well, all this information will be in the description, so everybody out there, also make sure that if you are watching this right now, make sure you follow, you comment, and most importantly, you subscribe. Yeah. So go ahead and hit that bell, receive all the notifications when we're dropping new content weekly, and again, and most importantly, make sure you subscribe. Kitty Pride, before we exit out, any last words to people out there who trying to bust it up because orgasms do matter? Shout out to Lady B and D Black. Orgasms do matter. Your nut does matter. So, any parting words for the nutless people out there?
Yes, if you don't eat nuts, why try the nuts? And when I say nuts, I mean like walnuts, peanuts, almonds, like nuts, eat healthy. I don't know what else. I don't know. Know yourself first. Know yourself first and watch how your sex life explodes.
All right.
Yeah.
Emphasis on explodes.
Sorry if I bored you.
Trust me, we're talking about orgasms. Orgasms are never boring.
I know.
And we want people to, hopefully when they see this information, they will bust right away. This has been Ringside Corner Confessions, and we are out. See y'all next time.